Hi, student of COM 110, section 20, 24, 29, and 42. I hope you guys are doing good during this time. And we would like to go and start our second online class. And starting the class, I would like to talk about some reminders for you guys. So, as you know by now, that each week we have math class teachers, Dr. Meister, Melissa, and Emily. They are recording a video and uploading it to the Blackboard, and you could find it on the announcement. So I would like you guys to each week to be watching that video, and that video is about like the chapter of the week. And next, we have quiz two. So quiz two was due by March 29th. If you took that quiz, it's okay. But if you did not take your quiz, go ahead and do it as soon as possible, please. For the cultural artifact speech and the cultural artifact outline, it's due this Sunday April 5th by 11:59. So you have to upload your speech and you have to upload your outline also. Upload your peer evaluation form. So for the peer evaluation form, as I mentioned, there's 3 ways to do your peer evaluation form. First, send the link to your video to a couple or even like one students in our in your class section, and tell them to do the peer evaluation form for you and send it back to you, because you are required to upload that peer evaluation form. So if that one did not work, just ask someone from in your household or apartment to do the peer evaluation form for you after giving them some instruction of how to do it, and again upload it. And if that way also did not work for you, just send me an email, or I will do the peer evaluation form for you. And again, like peer evaluation form and self evaluation form are due by April 12th. Look at your Blackboard from time to time for any assignment, quizzes, and other activities that you missed or left in the past. I was checking the Blackboards for all the students, and I saw that there was some students they left like an assignment or a quiz here and there, and so it's a good time to go and look at your Blackboard to see if anything is missing, so you could do that. Now we're coming to our class, speaking and ethics. So we have 3 objectives for today's class. So the first objective is understand the importance of ethical speech. How we could make an ethical speech. What does it mean when we say the speech is ethical? And second, recognize the ethical responsibility of a speaker. As a speaker, what do we need to do? Our responsibility to be an ethical speaker. And finally, appreciate the ethical obligation of audience members. As audience, we also have to be ethical in being a part of that equation of presentation or presenting a speech. So at the end of the time, we all are satisfied, and a great job will be done when we all are committed to our responsibilities. Coming to ethics, what's ethics? So ethics involves morals and the specific moral choices to be made by a person. Ethics are, for all intents and purposes, a way for people to make good, sound choices for themselves and for the other members of the community. Since we build communities through communication with others, ethical speech is at the core of a healthy community, and we must be careful about what we say and how we interact with others. Once we say something, we cannot take it back, so we have to be careful. Words matter because they leave an indelible mark on a relationship. Speaking and ethics, we all know words can inflict significant damage in an interpersonal relationship, but they can do even more damage in a public speaking setting. Even though public speaking may seem like a less intimate setting, saying something unethical or offensive can be more damaging than in an interpersonal setting. Whereas much of the interpersonal communication is spontaneous, public speaking is more planned and formal, so the audience often attributes careful thought to the speaker in a public speaking setting. That's to say, they believe you say what you mean because you already planned for that. The damage done when we say something unethical or offensive is not just to the listener, it's to our credibility also. And because of that, we may not be invited again to be presenting a speech in that situation. Ethical speakers. Knowing and acknowledging how our words have an important on ourselves and others is an important step towards becoming an ethical speaker. So our words also lead the audience into our mind, allowing them to see how we see the world. Our words choices reflect our impression of the environment and carry with them significant meaning for ourselves and others. The words we use reveal what we feel about everything from the audience to our political views and reflects our personal values and beliefs. So that's why we have to be careful. In this way, our messages to audience in public speaking setting impacts how the audience sees us and will have an impact on the effectiveness of our messages. If the audience does not understand or agree with our worldview, it can increase the challenge we face in public speaking setting. Ethical responsibilities of a speaker. So the speaker is bound by several ethical responsibilities. This obligation begins at the start, at the beginning of like making a speech process through researching and delivering the speech. So we have the ethic of choosing a topic. We have to be careful with finding a good topic, a topic that would involve our audience. The second one is the ethic of researching. So when we are researching, we have to be careful in researching, knowing opinions from facts, which source to cite, and everything else. So you must keep the interest of the audience in mind properly, properly evaluate the evidence you choose to cite, and properly attribute the source of the information. Ethical responsibility again of speakers. We have some questions that of whether the source can be trusted or not. So first, will the person benefit from getting me to believe that this information is true? Is the person involved in the situation? Second, is this person an expert? Does this person know about the information that he's presenting, or is he an expert in that field? Are the claim made by the source substantiated by other credible source? Are there more than one source that they are claiming the same claim? And finally, is this source recent enough to be relevant? So to see, like, if you want to talk about something new, recent, like let's say coronavirus, so you will be looking at the most updated sources to talk about that. We have plagiarism, so taking the intellectual achievements of another person and presenting them as one's own. So when speakers plagiarize, they steal the intellectual achievements of another person and presenting them as their own, thus deceiving the audience into believing the speakers were responsible for more than they actually were. To avoid plagiarism, it's important to cite sources in your written work, like in your outline. It's also essential that when we're speaking, we verbally attribute those sources, because failure to do so also constitutes a plagiarism. We have number 3 from the ethical responsibility of a speaker, the ethics of language and delivery. The language you choose to use when describing ideas, people, or things to an audience. So maintain composure. We must respect with the audience, whether the audience agree with our opinion or does not agree with our opinion. B, describe people with respect. We have to respect them and use respectful words towards describing them. C, avoid profanity, like curse words and swear words. Those kinds of phrases are not allowed at all in presentation and public speaking. Balance simplicity and complicity, which means like speaking your audience's language, not oversimplified and not over complicated. And finally, E, balance emotion and logic. We have to balance and connect our emotion and logics together to make our speech to be more credible. Ethical as an audience member. This time we're coming to the audience. One of the most important ethical obligation of audience members is to listen to the speaker. And when we say listen, listening is defined as an information processing task carried out in social, interactive, or communicative environment. Or listening is the process of receiving and interpreting spoken or nonverbal messages. Listening, therefore, is communicative, while hearing is physiological. So hearing is something our bodies do, while listening is a skill we develop and learn by time. There are four primary listening purposes that we can engage in. So one, listening for appreciation. The goal is to enjoy something on which we focus our attention, such as listening to music. There's no engagement and cognitive part related over here. And second, we have listening for comprehension when we try to learn something new, like in a culture, in a class or a lecture. Listening to show support when we are listening to someone, to show our support to them and also to build a relationship with them. And finally, we have the listening critically. And listening critically is when we evaluate a message and assess whether or not we agree with what is said. So we have the whole process of engaging and cognitive engaging, criticizing and building idea against or supporting. It's in this type of listening. So regardless with our goal is with listening, we use listening in one of the two different ways. So we have the active listening and we have the passive listening. Active listening occur when we pay a high degree of attention to a message. We process, store, and potentially evaluate the content of the message to come to conclusion or understanding about what was said. While passive listening occurs when we do not engage the topic in any noticeable way and just try to absorb what is said. When we listen passively, we do not engage in much evaluation, nor do we question our own understanding of what is said. Other responsibility of audience members, keep an open mind. So audience members should always approach a speech or presentation as an opportunity to learn something new. By being open-minded during a speech, you are giving respect to the speaker, work and efforts deserves. Second, do not heckle, do not interrupt the speaker, do not interrupt the speech, and do not that's not the time for interrupting. If even you do not agree, you don't have to interrupt the remarks or the presentation. And pay attention. Do not engage in side conversation. When you are in the class, you have to pay attention, like when someone is speaking and presenting, as you want others to listen to you when you are presenting a speech. That's for our class. And now we have some reminders for the next week. So for next week, we have read chapter 17 and 18, watch week 12 lecture video posted by night of Tuesday, April 7th, link in Blackboard announcement, upload your peer evaluation form again, and upload your self-evaluation form. I will do the instructor evaluation form. And again, tomorrow, Friday at 1 p.m. from 1 to 2, I will be on my computer. And if you have any questions or concerns, send it to me and I will respond to your questions.